Hello, everybody. Welcome to our monthly financial wellness ministry conversation. I want to thank everybody for joining us. If you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, please go ahead and share the post. Terrence, Betty, Barbara, you all can go ahead and share the post. We would appreciate it very much. I'm going to now place you in the hands of the coordinator of our financial wellness ministry, Kiera Hall.
Hello, everybody. Tonight, I'm excited to talk with you about the benefits of home ownership. As we talk about the benefits of home ownership, I'm going to share like a couple of um, images to share like the concepts, like some of the concepts that I'm talking about. But tonight, I really want to talk about the power of home ownership because the dream of home ownership is, just as true today as it ever was. And owning a home could also be like one of the wisest financial decisions that you can make. And so, you know, one, I want to encourage you, don't pay to put your landlord's kids through college, right? So when you're paying for a home, and you're renting, the landlord is benefiting. And today, what I'm going to talk about is what are the benefits that you can actually have through home ownership. And so there's lots of benefits to owning your home. It's one of the best assets that you can acquire. And then you also have like the added benefit of just enjoying your investment, and just enjoying your home. And plus, you could benefit financially. I'm going to talk a little bit about home appreciation. Um, and then, down payment. Sometimes that is something that can be very scary. Sometimes people think you might need 20% down, but I'm going to talk to you about how that's not necessarily true always. And then just the overall benefit of the finance portion. And um a really cool stat is that the average appreciation for homes over the last 30 years has been 4.5%. So I'm actually going to show, I have a really cool like picture that I'm going to share my screen on and show you so you can see like what I mean when I say the average appreciation has been 4.5% over the last 30 years. So let me share my screen real quick. And it's about the power of building home equity. So share. Okay. So super cool. The power of building home equity. This is like a little chart that shows over 30 years. So let's say you purchase your home today, and the home is 250,000 with a 20% down payment and 50,000 in home equity. Um, your mortgage balance, what happens over those 30 years is it slowly goes down all the way to when you get to the end of the term, that your mortgage balance is gone. And it's like we all know that eventually we pay it off and it's gone. But unlike buying like a car, home actually appreciates in value, whereas a car will depreciate. And so what appreciation means is that the value of the home grows over time. So you can see at first the home was really worth 300,000, right? Bought it for 250,000, it's worth 300,000. But with that 4%, 4.5% annual home price appreciation, in 30 years from now, the home will be valued at 925,000. I have a real life example of this. My neighbor, she just sold her home. I think it was last year, but something that she told me was that she bought her home 30 years ago for 30,000, and then she sold it last year for like 230,000 or something around there. And so that's that appreciation, it's worth more. And so that is the power of purchasing a home that you already got to pay to live in a home anyway, whether you're renting. But when you own it, eventually you pay it off, and then the value of it actually is a big asset. And when we talk about the wealth of people, over 50% of the wealth that the average American have comes from assets from home ownership. And so it's a big portion. And it really, can set the tone and help you to begin to establish wealth for your family. But I do want to talk about some key things and some benefits, and then answer any questions. I am not a realtor, but I am a mortgage loan officer. So I'm not the one who goes out and sells home or anything, but I learned this education and like to give the value on it, just from a financial perspective of building wealth and just making a wise financial decision. So um, that is my chart on home appreciation. Now, 5 key advantages to home ownership are: one, building equity and wealth. And so every time you make a mortgage payment, on like a fully amortizing loan, so there are some other type of loans, but just a fully amortizing loan, the equity in your home increases every time you make a mortgage payment. And so a home is like most Americans most valuable assets. So that's a big one: building equity and wealth. Tax advantages. um the tax advantage of potential tax savings. So unlike rent payment, so when you pay your rent, there are no tax advantages on that. But when you pay your mortgage, that can also be tax deductible. So you could pay less money in taxes because you're paying towards a mortgage as opposed to paying towards rent. And then the third one is, um, your home, your way. And so you don't have to have a landlord. Like, you don't have to answer to a landlord when it comes to decorating or organizing or having pets, or just improving your home. You have the opportunity to make your home your own. And so that's an amazing benefit, just that your home your way. There are emotional benefits. Being a homeowner can bring happiness, a sense of pride, make you feel more secure, and provide lots of satisfaction. And it can also become one of your, greatest financial assets, like I was saying before. And then last but not least, stability. And so planting your roots could save you money. Rent is typically raised or adjusted each year as the market fluctuates, whereas like the principal and interest payment on a fixed rate mortgage won't change for the life of the loan. Now what can change, and I've been seeing, a lot of fuss about it on Facebook, is home owners insurance can adjust, just like auto insurance. But that is amazing that your principal interest, that is going to stay the same throughout, and that does create that stability in that aspect, even though we know the cost of living does rise in other areas as well. And so when it comes to reducing your income taxes, did you know that the interest payments and property taxes may be deductible for federal and state income taxes, like up to certain limits? And so that's really huge. And then when it comes to saving for a down payment, my advice on that is, once you've established and funded an emergency fund account, then you can fund a short-term account to buy a home. So sometimes people, like, you might hear the phrase house poor. So it's like you own a home, but it's like a really big struggle. So I highly recommend that as you're on your journey to establishing a home, one of the to becoming a homeowner, a great thing that you can do is actually say, you know what, I'm going to establish my emergency fund, and I'm going to start building that. That'll also look good when you have more assets and more saved. And then once you have your emergency funds established, then you start establishing your fund for your down payment of your home, because it's like, we don't know when an emergency can happen, but that's just a good safety feature to have in place. It even protects you once you get into your home, to keep your home and not be just so thrown off when an emergency comes up. And there are several like mortgage programs that allow like a qualified buyer to purchase a home with little to no money down. So like in Gainesville, we have the SHIP program. There's nonprofits that will cover down payment, closing costs. Um, my company, we have a 1% down payment program, and it's not based on your income, and that's pretty amazing. And so a lot of people assume you need 20% down to purchase a home, but a lot of times that can be tough for someone to save 20% of a home's value for a down payment. But there are so many options that are available for you. I've seen some amazing programs in Gainesville. It's just a matter of like, you know, um, just taking steps forward, asking questions, and you'd be surprised. I had a friend of mine who's a single mom, and she got a super cute house. Her mortgage payment was less than $1,000 a month, and oh man, I'm forgetting the name of the program. But she was actually a part of helping to build the house that she lives in. Has a great rate. I don't know. Does anybody know the name of
Habitat,
that program?
Habitat for
Habitat.
Humanity.
Yes, that program. There's so many different programs out there. So it's not just a traditional way. There's Habitat for Humanity. There's NAFA, which I know people who've gone through that. They pay for your closing costs and down payment. There's SHIP. I'm SHIP certified. SHIP has programs where sometimes, they'll pay 10, 15, 20, even 35,000. I saw one time with the new Heartwood, they had a program where they would cover I think it was like $75,000 and like helping you get into a home. So there's programs out there. So, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, don't count yourself out. Like, reach out to me. I do traditional mortgages like conventional FHA, but I do not mind like sharing what programs are in the community and helping people to be able to become homeowners because it is amazing. And so home ownership does not have to remain a dream. Sit down, make a plan, consult with a licensed professional like myself on your options, and then work to make your dreams come true. So you got this. And then you can here goes a big thing. So let's say you are a homeowner. I want to share a trick with you that you might know, but somebody might not know this. So I want to share this. You can save thousands by paying your mortgage bi-weekly. So did you know that you can easily make an extra mortgage payment each year by switching to bi-weekly payments? And then as a result, you can accelerate your mortgage payoff time by years and save thousands of dollars in interest. And bi-weekly payments, all that is just half of your monthly payment paid every 2 weeks. And that's kind of easy actually for a lot of people because it kind of breaks it up as opposed to one big thing at the beginning of the month. If you get paid bi-weekly, it makes it a little bit easier and you just have it off each check. And then because a year has 52 weeks, this works out to 26 biweekly payments. And since these payments are half of the full amount of your monthly payment, they actually equate to 13 full payments. And so it's a good idea to confirm, with your lender and service provider who's servicing your loan on how biweekly payments are accepted, and that extra payment is applied to the principal balance. And so that can help you pay off your mortgage faster. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so that the whole picture can kind of fit in what I'm trying to show. There we go. So let me share my screen. So here goes just what it looks like to pay off your mortgage faster. So the dark blue is just showing monthly payments. And then the light blue is showing if you do biweekly. And then the green is showing biweekly payments with an extra $50 per payment. And on this example, you can see that, wow, like my total interest, if I just do it the regular way, 257,000 on this example. But if I just say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do biweekly payments, you save $52,000 in interest just by doing biweekly payments. And then if you say, you know what, I'm gonna go out to eat a little bit less. I'm not gonna make that stop by Chipotle or Taco Bell, or I'm gonna pack some lunch. I'm not gonna go to Starbucks. I'm gonna pack some lunch and put an extra. I'll make my coffee at home and I'll put an extra $50 per biweekly payment. Now you save $82,000, $996 in interest. So reach out to your loan servicer and talk to them about that biweekly payment option as house combined, because that equates to you paying off your debt sooner. And the sooner you pay off debt, the more money you could put towards building wealth. And so this shows you the time saved. So just with regular monthly payments, you're paying it in 30 years. But with bi-weekly payments, now it's 5.2 years sooner. So 24.8 years. But if you just add that extra 50 bucks bi-weekly, that's 21.5 years. That's 8.5 years sooner. So it makes a big difference. It might be worth it to adjust some things. Well, it's definitely worth it. If you want to save some money and save some time and pay off your debt sooner. So I just wanted to share this tip with you about paying off the mortgage, and then I'm gonna share a little bit more information, and then open it up for any questions. But the last part I want to share is when it comes to qualifying for a mortgage, the different things that we look at as as the mortgage lender is what is your debt to income ratio. And debt to income ratio is that's equating your monthly payments. So for example, if you make, I'm just gonna do this for easy math in my head, but if you make uh $2,000 a month and your total monthly debt payments equal $1,000 a month between like everything, your debt to income ratio is 50%. And so if the because of uh 1,000 or 2,000 is 50%. And so, depending on what type of loan you get, you're you're gonna need to be below 50%. And then when you start talking about qualifying for like a USDA, it's a little bit stricter. FHA has like the most flexibility with how high they'll let the debt to income ratio go. But the the way that you can think about it is if you go out and buy a new car that costs $500 a month, that's $500 a month less that could be on a mortgage payment. So it takes away the purchasing power from buying a home. The other thing we look at is credit profile. It's not just about your score, but it's about like your overall credit profile. Like how many, one time I had somebody with, their score was 620. So it's like, okay, you think they should qualify for this loan because they're looking for a 620. But it's not always that simple. They might say, well, yeah, you have a 620, but majority of the items on your credit are negative. And so we got to get some more positive stuff on there. So we look at credit. And then another thing that we look at, and this popped up one time, one of my clients, and I learned this, but do you have any federal debt in delinquency? And so for those of you who are out of school, with they had like a pause on all of it with COVID, but they're taking that off, and student loan payments are due, and that can affect your ability to purchase a home. But what you can do is if your student loan payment is a issue, you can go to the loan servicer and apply for maybe an income based plan, or you just want to make sure that they're that that basically they're not requesting for a payment and you're not making it, because then your loan can go in default. And then if you have a loan in default, it doesn't matter if your credit score is okay, if you got a lot of money saved, everything, you won't be able to qualify for a government loan. Like FHA is not going to give you a loan until you get that resolved. And so one time I had somebody who they were, everything was squared away except for the loans were in default. So they weren't able to continue on. And I had to walk them through the process of calling the servicer and kind of getting that all adjusted and figuring out like how much they need to pay or could they qualify for, different things. But we had to get that set up. It couldn't just be ignored. And so when you're on your home purchase, utilize financial professionals. Um because you don't have to do this alone, and you should expect that a good financial professional will not shame you, they will not rush you or have you making decisions that you don't really understand or don't really feel good about. A good financial professional will answer your questions, and you should be confident and comfortable in asking however many questions you want, because a home purchase is one of the biggest investments you'll ever make in your life. And you should be respected in that process. And you should, don't give up on it. I've had people who they kind of felt brushed off, they felt a little lost, confused, or maybe they didn't qualify and nobody ever really explained to them why or gave them help on what they should do. And something I do is I go the extra mile with my clients. If they are denied, I let them know why, and I give them advice on what they can do to qualify. Like what type of things need to take place. I'll review their credit report and say, hey, we have like a team that specializes in credit, and they'll look and say, okay, well, if you make payment on this and resolve this, and maybe stop disputing this one, all those things are important. And then the other thing is you can't trick a loan provider. So if you go in thinking that because everything's disputed, you're gonna be okay, disputing can make your score rise temporarily, but as soon as all them disputes fall off, that score can go back down. And so it's so important that as you're going through the home purchase process, that there are no unsettled disputes, that they're settled, that it's not sitting on there, because then it gives you a score that's not really realistic. So um tonight I just want to get on and just share a little bit about the power of home ownership, just some of the knowledge I have on the home ownership process. Um, and then I just want to open it up. I'm not looking at the Facebook, but if anybody has any questions or any comments, would love to answer and hear any comments that there are when it comes to the power of home ownership.
Yeah, and some people may look at it different or take it different, but I think you also, if you're looking at home ownership as an investment and something that you want to build wealth with, you have to look at um, comprehensive plans in counties and cities, and you have to look at growth in certain areas because a home in one area, the appreciation rate might be a lot greater than the appreciation rate in another area. And so, and that may not bother some people because it's something else that they're looking for. But I think you got to do your homework and make sure that the area that you're in. Let's say, for example, say, and this is not necessarily based on the area, but I know I'm a licensed realtor, but I don't have time to practice it. Uh, but one thing that I always told my clients is don't buy the the most expensive home in the neighborhood because what happens is if you buy the most expensive home in the neighborhood, everything else in the neighborhood is pulling your value down. But if your home is not the most expensive, those above you are pulling you up when they're looking at comparable properties. And so you got to put all that stuff, if you're doing it for investment purposes and to build wealth, you got to look at the area that you're buying the home in. You got to look at, is this the one that's pulling everything else up, or are there homes that's going to pull? I mean, is this the home that's pulling, everyone else up? I mean, that they're going to pull me down, or am I one of the ones that's being pulled up by the nicer homes? And so anytime you see somebody in the neighborhood and you look at a home and you're like, well, that's not nice, but they might be appreciated at a lot higher rate because the other homes are pulling them up. And so think about what's important for you. What are you trying to gain out of the home? And then make sure you do your research to make sure you maximize whatever it is that you're trying to do in owning a home.
That's a really good point. I'm glad that you shared that. Um, I'd be curious to know what would be like the appreciation rate, like in like Duval versus a neighborhood like Springtree on the northwest side of Gainesville, or like I'm curious to know, like somebody who might have bought their home in Duval 30 years ago, how much did they buy it for versus like how much is it worth now, and all those different factors. Would that, I know that does not fall in my line of expertise. Would it make sense that if somebody's doing their research that they could expect for a real estate agents that to fall in their expertise to help even, understand, does that fall in that in a real estate agent's expertise?
Yeah, and so the real estate agent, they can provide information, but they're going to do the same thing. They're going to tell you they're not, this is just information that they're providing to you, and you're going to have to, do your own research. But they can provide to you stats that are made public. And so, I mean, I've owned a home in, in Southwest Gainesville. I owned a home in Springtree and own a home in Duval all at the same time. And I just know out of with my three homes, and this is not Duval. My parents actually purchased the home that was in Duval, but the value did not, increase like the value of the homes in Springtree and over where in Southwest Gainesville. But maybe I was looking for something different, and maybe it wasn't value that I was, trying to gain when I purchased the home. Maybe it was culture, maybe it was something else. But those are things that you got to think about. But one of the other things is that when you're starting out and you're purchasing a home, to whereas you might get a 1,500 square foot home, over here where I live, it might cost you $300,000 for a 1,500 square foot home, and over in Duval, you get that same 1,500 square foot home, for less than 120,000, possibly. Not at all times, but it's just what people are looking for, and sometimes you can get more home in places that where it might not be as expensive, so you get more home, but it might not appreciate as fast. And for some people, just to have more home, you need more room, more square footage. You say, what, I'm going, I'm going to look at a different area because what's most important to me is the more home, not the appreciation. I can move up to thinking about the appreciation, but right now, I need more home for my money, more bang for my buck.
I love it. I love it. Those are definitely like really important things to think of. And I'm glad we're having this conversation because it's just an opportunity for, minds to be open and to start really thinking about something. And maybe you're watching this and you're in the process. You're saying, okay, I want to buy a home this year. And so now you got some things to think on of what are your goals and to help you, you know, look even more. Um, is there anybody who might have like a I wish I would have known, that maybe something you could share, like when you were going through your home purchase process, you're like, oh man, if I would have known this, or something that you wish somebody shared with you through your process that you want to share with anybody who's watching to help give them some insight. So if anybody who's watching on Facebook, feel free to like drop it in the chat, because we're better together and we can learn from our own experiences, or we can learn from other people's experiences too.
Well, as a real, I mean, just dealing with people who's moving for certain reasons, or but some people, I've met people that like their home, and I've experienced people that like their home, but the neighborhood was not it, and they didn't realize that that the issues that they would have experienced, and I'm talking specifically racial stuff. And so it was a nice home, it was very affordable, um, but after a few years, realizing that the neighbors were pretty rough, and just being mean, but when you own a home, it's unlike renting. You can't just when wait 12 months or wait till your lease is up and not renew. You got to make a major decision, and you got and in that decision, And so I think you really have to do your homework, and know if the culture of the neighborhood is important to you. Really make sure you put the work in and understand the neighborhood. Spend some time riding around that neighborhood. See what it looks like at 5 o'clock. See what it looks like, on the weekends, and not just look at the home, but the people that's going to affect your quality of life. And so you really got to do your homework. Don't just buy it because you like the area or you like the home or you like this or like that. Think about all the things that are important to you, and then make sure you do your research, on how those things will affect, you know, your peace of mind.
That's a really good insight. That's things, that might not be top of mind, because you're looking for a home, you're thinking maybe about how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms, what it looks like, but who are the neighbors is important. How close are their houses, and you know, um, what do you like to do if you like to have loud music and have a lot of stuff going on? You might want to have some land.
Yeah.
So that you're not getting the cops called on you, or
And you need
if
to
you
know if you live in an area with a homeowners association, you got to know what you can and can't do.
yeah.
Because homeowner associations, they serve a good purpose because they make sure everybody's taking care of their property so your property's not pulled down. But there might be some things that you want to do on your property that you can't do because you signed that covenant, you signed that agreement, and so you got to put all of that work in.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm here today to encourage you, um, who are watching, don't give up on that dream of being a homeowner. There's so many different avenues, and it is possible. I have a client success story that really blessed my heart. I had a client that came to me, and her and her husband wanted to purchase a home. Income wasn't really an issue. The debt ratio, wasn't bad, but the credit, that was the issue. And um I was able to, get with them, and give them specific suggestions on what to pay off, and what debts to focus on that would get the best results. And within 3 months, they were able to get approved for a mortgage, and then they closed on their home. And what seemed like it could have took a while, or what some people might think that they need to go and pay somebody thousands of dollars to do for them, they were able to get in about 10 minutes, just a little bit of education, and then make just a couple decisions, and purchase their home. And so, um, you don't have to go and pay somebody thousands of dollars to fix your credit. There's so much information out there free. I personally don't even think you should pay. It's so
Yeah.
you could do it yourself. And I guess the last thing I would end off is just a couple of credit tips. Some good tips that I noticed that some of my clients didn't realize is, your they thought they were doing good because they were making on time payments, but they did not realize that high balances were affecting them. And so a high balance is basically over 30%. So for example, if your credit limit is $1,000, you don't want $800 just sitting on there, because every month that is dinging you. It's negative. And so what you got to do is use the credit wisely, and make sure to keep that balance. You know, um I like to say just even keep it below 10%. That'll look really good. And it's like it'll positively impact you every month. Now, I had another client who, they thought they were doing a really good thing. They would spend, let's say they go to Walmart and they spend $400. Then as soon as that thing posts on their account, a couple days later, they would pay it all off. And they had no credit. And the reason why is because it never hit the statement. So I had to tell them, I said, go buy you a pack of Skittles or something, just $5, and let that thing hit the statement so that it'll produce, it'll give you the minimum payment, make the minimum payment, and you do have to have a balance on there for it to report. So they were paying it off too fast, and so they weren't getting that positive payment history because they weren't making like the payment after, how do I put it, after the statement was produced. They were just paying it off right after they spent it, and little did they know they had been doing that for months. And they thought they were doing a really good job with that, and it wasn't producing nothing. And then I gave them that tip, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, okay, my score is going up now." Like, so in order for it to reflect, the company does have to produce a statement with the balance. So then that gets reported, and then you make the payment after that statement is produced with the payment, and you make you know bare minimum. If you make less than the minimum payment, then you get hurt. So you want to make at least the minimum payment or more, so that that will positively impact you. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've had clients just kind of like not know or understand about credit, and I hope I was clear on that scenario. um I always like to encourage people to really be debt free. So I like to encourage, you could really dig yourself in a hole spending money before you get it. So I think the best way to use a credit card is to use it like a debit card. So in the sense of, I'm just spending money that I already know I got, and then I'll be able to pay it, as opposed to living above your means, which can let one thing go wrong, then all of a sudden everything goes downhill, and there's high credit card balances, and it becomes very stressful, and now you got to work extra hard and to pay it off. And so yeah, I think that's all the tips that I have. But it is possible, it is doable, and then if you go and connect with a financial professional, it'll make it even easier, because then you don't have to be on a journey by yourself. You can seek out and get there's free home ownership workshops. Sometimes I host them. There's lots of free stuff online, and all type of programs that are amazing, and grants that come out, and just so many cool resources available to help families become homeowners. And but there is work on your part. There is work, and some people, they get a little irritated and give up on that process. They don't realize all the bank statements and all the different things. But when you get with a good financial professional, they will walk you through it, and they'll help guide you, and the work will be worth the end result.
Now, what I felt people do to where they provide housing for themselves, but then pay for housing with someone else's money. I've helped in the past people. They would go and buy a duplex, and so they
Mm-hmm.
would purchase the entire duplex, and but the mortgage of the duplex could literally be is literally paid by the other the other side that they rent out to someone else. So they're on one side as the owner and landlord. They rent out the other side of the duplex, the other space in it, and so now what they're doing is literally providing housing for themselves. They're paying they're paying the investment off, and then when they get to a point now to where they're ready to really go and buy a home that they want to live in, they still own this asset that they can use for rental income. But everything that they've paid for that asset, they didn't pay their own money. They actually put themselves in a position to where they had to sacrifice for a little while as they established themselves. And so there are situations to where you can also provide housing for yourself, but a lot of times that takes that you've been disciplined in your credit. But they can provide housing for themselves and then use rental income money to pay for the asset until they get themselves prepared to go and purchase a home that's a step above, step closer to where they want to be, but they still have this revenue creating source from the duplex.
Yep. Yep. And that is a like awesome thing to be able to do. And then something super cool is if you like find somebody to take over the lease, or sometimes you might be able to purchase a duplex that already has a renter in it with a contract, and you could keep that renter on the other side. Um, and that renter's income, like that rent payment, it has to be sustained for a certain amount of time, but that could come off of the debt to income ratio, which makes it easier for you to qualify for the home because it's not as if you're needing to qualify for that whole mortgage payment. Part of the rent collected is coming off of the mortgage payment due, and like proof to show that you can pay for it because there's someone else who's going to be paying for it too. And um so yeah, I want to throw that out there from a mortgage perspective, that the rent payments, that helps to take down the debt to income ratio because now it's not just all on you.
Yeah, I had graduate students doing that kind of stuff.
That's smart.
That when they were in a situation, um, and then even like when and we did it for Ron and Darius when they were in school, when they were in college. Instead of paying rent, we purchased a condo, and so that when they're finished, we can go sell it, and we didn't give away money for those 4 years. We were able to to keep that equity for ourselves, and so it's a lot of different ways that you can use home ownership. Like you said, it's power in it, and you just have to kind of get information and figure out what works best for you, and so that you're not, as Kiera said, paying for somebody else's child to go to college. You pay for your own children to go to college.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so I hope this was helpful. I hope it was inspiring. I hope somebody maybe walks away from this conversation and they don't have an emergency fund established, getting that going, and then getting on track to set up that short-term account to where the goal is to be able to save up some money to purchase a home, and then also doing some research. I mean, I feel like everybody should just have an emergency fund established whether you're going to purchase a home or not, and start saving towards that because we just never know when that will happen. But start doing your research, and who knows, maybe you could get into a home this year with no down payment or no closing costs, or maybe you could get a grant, or maybe you could get a 1% down payment, or maybe the seller might be willing to cover some of the closing costs. I had a young gentleman and his sister. I helped them close on a home, and for with $5,000, and it was a beautiful home. In High Springs, it was an awesome home, and with $5,000, they were able to get in a home. And so I felt like this was a good conversation to have because some people are going to be getting tax refunds, and this is just a great idea of how you could potentially use some of that tax refund to help set you up to not have to rent anymore. Get yourself in a situation where you're empowering yourself with home ownership. And I got some people right now who are like, they already got game plans for this tax refund to go and put themselves in a better situation as opposed to looking at it and at the end of the year it's like, where did that money go that I got? Like, what did I do to benefit myself? You could, you know if you're getting a tax refund, you could establish emergency fund, establish a short term, get term account, and get some savings going, and really get yourself in position. And so, you know, that this could really be helpful towards you in knowing just some opportunities available, and that home ownership is a possibility for you, and it might not be as far away as you think it is.
And that car that you go and buy with that tax refund, as soon as you drive off the lot, it's going down in value, and
Mhm.
so that's where our people really need information and really need to practice discipline, and because not judging anyone, but we just throw away money. Sometimes we get lump sums in our hand because we spend the money in the wrong places, and and so if you're blessed and you get $10,000 on a refund check, please don't go and spend that $10,000 on a car if you're struggling, and it could work out a lot better for you if you put it into something that's gonna make you money, whether that's a home or some other kind of investment. Our people really need to get more information so that they can make better decisions for themselves, because somebody just got more wealthy off of your 10,000, and you became more or less wealthy, and so we got to make good decisions.
Yeah, I wish I had this audio. I don't know if y'all heard it, but it's really good. I'm gonna try to see if I could just play the sound real quick. Like I won't play the video because I don't think I have. I might have the original video. Y'all might have heard Pastor Jamal Bryant, and yeah, okay, so I found it. I'm gonna just play the audio. It's really short. I think it's not even a minute. Um, so let me just share my sound, and we'll just kind of end the conversation um just with this. So okay, I'm sharing my sound, and then let me start it from the beginning, and then let's see. Oh,
$54 million a year
oh,
on hair. We spend $152 million a year on perfume. We spend $700 million a year. This is just black people. $700 million a year on liquid soap. We are clean while living dirty. So you smell good, your hair looks good, your nails are good, you got brand new church clothes, and you got all of that with no insurance. You got all of that with no stocks. You got all of that with no investment portfolio, but you smell good. We just keep buying a bunch of crap.
so I will stop that right there. But I saw I heard that, and I was like, man, that hurts.
We spend $54 million a year.
And but you know what? Whenever I see statistics that I don't like or that don't feel good, um, my mission is like, okay, let's not be the statistic. You know, change starts with me. And so it's like, okay, let me make sure that I'm taking proper financial steps, that I'm being diligent and disciplined and intentional and looking at my budget, and that I'm saving money, and that I'm living below my means, that I'm preparing for my financial goals. And that's how we make the difference. You know, we can't necessarily talk about everybody else and what they doing, but what we can do is we can hear that, and if the shoe fits, we can start making some adjustments. And we can say, okay, you know what? I'm a I'm gonna start being mindful and intentional, and I'm gonna start building wealth. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for children's children. And so because we are people of God, our steps are ordered by the Lord, and we leave an inheritance for our children's children. We get the proper amount of life insurance. We get the proper amount of investments. We, establish ourselves. We become homeowners. We leave houses for our children. We are the lender and not the borrower. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. We have to believe and declare what the Bible says about us, and we have so many resources. We are so blessed at our church. We have so many people who are doing well. We really do. We have, and just are willing to share. We have so many people with so many gifts and talents and different businesses and professions and jobs, and who are willing to just share and give back. So I just want to extend, if you're watching this right now and you don't have a church home, come check out Greater Bethel AME in Gainesville, Florida. We have an amazing church, and this is our, financial ministry. We have a health ministry and a just youth ministry and a men's and a women and a marriage. We have so many different ministries. So there's somewhere where you can fit in. But what you can expect is that Greater Bethel will build upon the whole person. And tonight we're talking about, building upon and helping you grow financially and becoming more savvy and just learning about different things when it comes to that financial aspect. So Thanks for tuning in. Please share share this either if you're watching on YouTube Live or Facebook Live. Please share because somebody really can benefit from this information about the power of home ownership. This can make all the difference. And if there's one person who becomes a homeowner, and where there's somebody who sets up their biweekly payments and now they're going to get out of debt 5, 6, 7, 8, or 10 years sooner. Or, there's somebody who starts that emergency fund and just getting on a track to reach their goal. It is worth it. Even if it's one person, life is changed and is help. That's our whole goal, just to make a difference and help people to walk into the blessing and abundance. Jesus came so we can have life more abundantly. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And so anything that is against you prospering, that's not of God. And so we're here to help you prosper in every area of your life. And that's what I got for you. So I pray that you all have a blessed evening. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope this information was valuable and helpful for somebody.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Cole?
I would just thank you, Kiera, did a good job.
All right,
Thank
wonderful.
you.
All right, we want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, please share the post. And we're here every month on the fourth Tuesday. So God bless you and have a great one. Hopefully see you tomorrow at our noonday prayer meeting on the same Zoom channel and on Wednesday Bible study. God bless you and have a great one.
Good night.